Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese. Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese.
Hello, welcome to Chinese Pod. We bring you lessons in spoken Mandarin. We're coming to you from Shanghai, China. My name is Ken Carroll.
And hello, I'm Jenny. Great to be back.
Hello, Jenny.
Hello, Ken.
Hello. Now, I hope, as ever, you've chosen a very interesting
Yes,
topic for us.
I hope I did.
What is today's topic?
Interestingly, he is a very boring person.
The topic is boredom. So that should cheer you up. Boredom. That's okay, well, that's going to be challenging. How do you make boredom sound interesting? Well, I'm sure you can do it.
I think it might be interesting when somebody else is boring.
If you could accuse.
And you can, chat about him, talk behind the back.
You accuse others of being boring, and that makes you feel
slightly more interested yourself, I guess.
Yes, indeed. Excellent. Now, what level are we looking at here?
This is an elementary lesson.
Okay. Now, it's about getting invited and perhaps declining an invitation because of the boredom factor.
Such a snob.
Yeah. Well, I think we should listen to it. Let the dialogue speak for itself, as it were. So let's listen to it. We'll come back and break it down for you in a moment.
我的邻居邀请我明天晚上去他家吃饭，但是我不想去。
你为什么不想去？
他很无聊，而且他太太菜做得很难吃。
那你就说你没时间。
Second time， 我的邻居邀请我明天晚上去他家吃饭，但是我不想去。
你为什么不想去？
他很无聊，而且他太太菜做得很难吃。
那你就说你没时间。
Third time， 我的邻居邀请我明天晚上去他家吃饭，但是我不想去。
你为什么不想去？
他很无聊，而且他太太菜做得很难吃。
那你就说你没时间。
Now, challenging, I think, for an elementary in the sense that the first sentence is actually quite long.
Yes.
Let's look at it. Could you give us the first part, please?
我的邻居邀请我明天晚上去他家吃饭。
Now, long sentence.
Yeah, how many pauses did I make?
But you paused well. You did indeed to emphasize the different elements. Now you may have picked up the last verb at the end as to 吃饭, as in to eat. Now I'll just translate and say, my neighbor invited me to dinner at his home tomorrow. Okay.
我的邻居邀请我明天晚上去他家吃饭。
Good.
我的邻居邀请我明天晚上去他家吃饭。
Now that's it. So my neighbor invited me to dinner in his home tomorrow.
但是我不想去。
But I don't want to go.
但是我不想去。
But I don't want to go.
但是我不想去。你为什么不想去？
Why don't you want to go?
你为什么不想去？
Why don't you want to go?
你为什么不想去？他很无聊，而且他太太菜做得很难吃。
Actually, he's very boring and his wife is a terrible cook.
他很无聊，而且他太太菜做得很难吃。
He's very boring and his wife is a terrible cook.
他很无聊，而且他太太菜做得很难吃。那你就说你没时间。
So just tell him you've no time.
那你就说你没时间。
So just tell him you don't have time.
那你就说你没时间。That's not very nice.
It's
isn't
not,
it?
no, but it's dramatic.
Yes.
Now, as I said, the first sentence was quite long. Lots of elements. Could we hear that, please, Jenny?
Certainly. 我的邻居邀请我明天晚上去他家吃饭。
Now, 我的邻居, my
Neighbor.
neighbor. Let's look at that word neighbor again, please.
邻居
And that's second and first tone, right? 我的邻居邀请我 as in invites. 邀请 meaning to invite.
邀请
And that's a verb, right?
Yes.
邀请 to invite. 邀请我
invited me.
invited me. 明天晚上 tomorrow evening.
明天晚上
明天晚上 tomorrow evening to go to his house for dinner.
去他家吃饭。
Good. Let's hear that again. To go to his house for dinner.
去他家吃饭。
去他家 as in to go to his house. 家 as in house, to go to his place for dinner. But I don't want to go.
但是我不想去。但是我不想去。
Now, but,
但是
very useful, of course. One more time, please.
但是
Now, I don't want to go.
我不想去。
Now, again, extremely high frequency, extremely useful. 我不想去, I don't want to go. Now, you might hear the kids saying that, you know.
Yes.
Oh, we're going shopping or we're going wherever. 我不想去, I don't want to go.
A school.
Indeed, school.
That's more likely, I
Indeed.
guess.
Now, this word 想, as in the third tone,
yeah.
it is to want to do something. So let's hear that again. But I don't want to go.
但是我不想去。
Welcome back to another installment of Chinese Pod Trivia. And the question for you is, for what test does Chinese Pod offer preparation services for? Is it A, the polygraph, B, the colonoscopy, C, the HSK test, or D, the CAT scan?
The CAT scan?
Ooh, sorry, that is incorrect. The correct answer is C, the HSK test. That's right, Chinese Pod will thoroughly prepare you to pass this rigorous test of proficiency in Chinese. ChinesePod.com/HSK.
That's great, I think, when, listening for the music of the language again. 但是我不想去, but I don't want to go. Now, why don't you want to go?
你为什么不想去？你为什么不想去？
Now, the pronoun comes first here.
Yes.
你为什么 as in why 为什么 Now, why don't you want to go? 不想去 and again, pronoun at the beginning and this is where it sounds quite unlike English at times, Chinese. So let's listen to that again one more time, please.
你为什么不想去？你为什么不想去？
Now, I find, a good way to remember sounds and tones and so on is when you have these patterns. 我不想去。你为什么不想去？
Yeah, put them together and practice.
Put them together
yeah.
and practice. 我不想去。你为什么不想去？
Yes.
So it's a good way for you to practice, over and over with your teacher, or indeed even if you don't have a
Yourself.
teacher. Yeah. And again, need I remind you, that type of thing is extremely high frequency. So, why don't you want to
That's
go?
true.
Now, the reason you don't want to go is because the guy's boring.
他很无聊。 他很无聊
无聊 as in boring.
boring or bored.
Bored indeed.
So it all depends on the context.
Yep. So in English, of course, there's quite a distinction between I'm bored and I'm boring, right? But in Chinese, 我很无聊 could mean
it could mean both.
could mean both. Yeah, but you guess from context.
Yeah.
And the second one is hopefully less likely. You know, I'm a very boring person. If you were, you
It's
probably wouldn't realize
unlikely
it.
to come from yourself.
It's unlikely. I'm unlikely to admit that kind of thing. Or if you were a really boring person, you probably wouldn't realize it. Would you?
Yes.
I mean, I don't anyway.
Me neither.
So, 他很无聊. He's really boring. Now, and besides, his wife is a terrible cook.
而且他太太菜做得很难吃。
Now, before we get accused of sexism here, we're just trying to illustrate
Yeah.
a language pattern here.
Yes.
So let's look at this. 而且, extremely useful.
Yes.
Meaning moreover
right?
or besides. 而且 and besides. Now, his wife,
他太太
他太太, his wife. Now, interesting. 菜做得很难吃. Now, this is a really interesting little construction.
Yeah.
Because 菜, as in the fourth tone,
菜
means food or dishes.
Yes.
Now, 他菜做得很难吃. So it literally translated is food makes
Terrible.
not good taste. Indeed,
not tasty.
Not tasty. Now, you could also say, if you want to say positive, she says she cooks really well. You could say,
他太太菜做得很好吃。
good. Or you could say, indeed, you cook really well.
你菜做得很好吃。
Great. 你菜做得很好吃. So it's an interesting construction. You say you food cook very well. Now, 很好吃 as in, you know, it's great. 很难吃 meanings
Not tasty.
not tasty.
Tastes
不好吃
terrible, yeah.
难吃. Now, so the thing is, well, you know, you don't want to go. Why don't you just tell him you don't have time?
那你就说你没时间。那你就说你没时间。
Now, I like this sentence because it is so idiomatic.
Yeah.
It's so natural. It is exactly the type of thing you'll hear in normal conversations. 那你就说你没时间啊。那 as in the fourth tone.
Yes.
Therefore, in that case, if this is the situation,
那你就说 very, very common indeed.
indeed. So just tell him. 那你就说, just tell him. Just say that you don't have time.
你没时间。你没时间。
Now, 时间 in this case meaning time.
Yes.
Right. 没时间 meaning
Don't have time.
time. Very common.
Yes.
So let's hear it again. I don't have time.
我没时间。我没时间。
He doesn't have time.
他没时间。他没时间。
We don't have time.
我们没时间。我们没时间。
Good. Now, this is still so interesting, this sentence to me. There's so much in it. 那你就说, now, 就 as in fourth tone. I don't even know how to translate that. It's used for emphasis. Well then, in this case.
Yes.
那你就说, well, if that's the case, so it just emphasizes. Could you give us another example of how you might use 就, this word?
我现在就去。我现在就去。
Now, that would mean I'm just about to go, right? Or I'm ready to go now.
Yeah, I'm ready to
I'm
go.
ready to go now. Yeah, well, and it emphasizes this particular, in this case, this particular moment. Joseph is a fantastically flexible and useful.
Yet very hard to translate. Untranslatable.
I'm sure you look up the grammar tags and so on, you'll find some examples of how to use it, and we'll use it in other case. But here's a perfect example is, well, just tell him you don't have time.
那你就说你没时间。
Now, there's one you can just practice again to sing the language, to get the sign, walk around saying
and
it.
practice your number one excuse of
Indeed.
not attending anything.
Or pick up the mobile phone when somebody's nearby and just practice that sentence and go, 那你就说你没时间啊, and it'll sound like you're being really fluent or something like that. Yes. I go, wow. Anyway, that's cheating a little bit, but who cares? You're just practicing. Let's listen to that one more time, could we?
我的邻居邀请我明天晚上去他家吃饭，但是我不想去。
你为什么不想去？
他很无聊，而且他太太菜做得很难吃。
那你就说你没时间。
Okay, we collectively hope that you got a lot from that lesson.
Yes. There are many, like you said, interesting constructions and also how to link words together.
Link words.
I think that's one of the sort of hallmarks
Indeed.
of your, grasping or mastering the language.
Indeed. So it's all in there. Now, we always try to keep this sort of analysis to a minimum.
Minimal,
because, first of all, it kills the dynamic of a podcast, I believe. But secondly, is I'm not completely convinced that everybody really needs that much analysis, depending. I know you have different views on this, but certainly I think John of Sinosplice, that sounds like a medieval John of Sinosplice has done a lot of work in terms of the grammar tags and so on and constructions. Obviously, in the Learning Center, you'll get a lot of expansions on these particular patterns.
So we've got the whole deal for you.
It's all there for you.
Yeah, easy approach and the more analytical
Indeed.
approach.
So we hope you got a lot from that. Right now, it's time for us to go, though. So we'll be back again tomorrow with another lesson. But for now, it's time for us to say 再见.
Are you still trying to learn Chinese from other methods? Why not give us a try? Come on. It's Mandarin, your terms, ChinesePod. ChinesePod.com.
As usual, ChinesePod provides an extensive selection of learning materials for this lesson on its website, www.chinesepod.com. You can access this lesson directly with the lesson number
0167.
So just go to www.chinesepod.com/0167 and you will find a transcript, vocabulary, and much more. The link again, www.chinesepod.com/0167.